Welcome to another wonderful episode of Write and Shine, Shining Through Your Words series, proudly brought to you by Write and Shine Media House. My name is Magriet Potgieter. I'm your host of this incredible podcast series, and it goes behind the pages of every book written here. I am so delighted to introduce you to my next guest. Trish, I'm going to ask you to please introduce yourself and also tell us a little bit more about the book we'll be talking about today.
Absolutely delighted to be here. I'm Trish Springsteen. I come from Australia, from Queensland, hence maybe the accent that you hear. And my passion is helping you to be the unicorn in your business. So it's all about you having the confidence to stand up and speak and to own your uniqueness and share it. I'm an international award-winning author. I'm a multi-international award-winning mentor. I'm the founder of Purple Unicorn Academy. And for those who are watching, who might be very perceptive, you'll understand that I absolutely love and adore purple. I'm very, very subtle about it, but people always seem to pick it up. I'm very subtle though. And that's what I love doing. It's getting people to believe in themselves, to understand that they have a legacy. And it's something that I didn't think I had for a very long time. But I know now, and I know from personal experience, that everybody has a story. They all have a story. And I think everybody should be sharing some of their stories in their books. Because from my perspective, a book is a legacy. It's doesn't get torn up. It usually doesn't get thrown out. A book will be passed from hand to hand. It may go into a second-hand dealer. It might be up on Amazon. It might be passed from one person to another, but it's always going to be there. And what sends shivers up my back is the thought that maybe in 5, 10 years, someone picks up one of my books, opens it up and reads a paragraph or a chapter, and it's just what they need to read then. And when I realized that, I understood that when I write, when I leave that legacy, it's not for me, it's for the people that maybe at some stage need to read that and need to pick it up. So books give you opportunities. Writing your book gives you opportunities. Writing your book allows you to share your story. Now that's whether it's a fiction book, a non-fiction, informational, inspirational, short stories, whether you facilitate an anthology or whether you put a chapter into a book. Whichever way you want to look at it, it's your stories that you're sharing. It could be your memoir. It could be your family's memoir. And those are the most important ones because so many family stories get lost. It doesn't matter what it is, but the fact that you share it is allowing someone to find what they might need to find at that stage. Now, I was never that passionate about books, I can tell you. I was never that passionate about writing. It took me a long time to understand about that and to have the confidence. I always had that little voice, those negative voices saying, why would anybody want to read a book that you've written? Why would you want to contribute a chapter? No one wants to hear you. And it took me a long time working on it because I'm a very slow learner to believe in myself and to understand that I did have that. And there's been so many opportunities that have come out of my books. The one that I've got 21 books currently. So it was a little bit hard when I was asked to choose which I wanted to talk about because each and every one of those books is dear to my heart and each and every one has a message. But I guess one of the dearest ones is this particular book, and I'll see if I can get that up
Yes.
there. It's called Forever Changed by Suicide. Not a topic that most people would think about reading and not a topic that most people would think about writing. It's very close to my heart. In 2007, we lost our son Craig to suicide. And at that stage, going back to those years, suicide wasn't spoken about very much. It's better today, not 100%, but it is a little bit better than it was in 2007. And what happens, I found, when someone loses someone to suicide, there's a couple of things that happen. They either completely close off and they don't talk about that person because they don't want to admit that that's how they lost them. So they shut down. And that I found, it's one of the things I didn't want to happen with Craig. I wanted people to remember that no matter how Craig left us, he spent 23 years on this earth. And in that time, he left a footprint. It might not have been a big footprint, but he left a footprint. So if I was to close off and say, oh, I'm not going to talk about him because of the way he left, I would be doing a disservice to my son. So one of the things that my husband and I agreed to when we lost him was that we would talk about him. We would share the memories that we had of him, and we would hold him in our hearts and let people know that we had a son and that he was here and that he had existed. And part of the reason why I facilitated this book, and it's a facilitation book because there's 23 people in that book, was so that his name would go forth, and that I would encourage other people to not close off about it because they left in a different way to what you would normally talk about, but to honor the time that you had them, no matter how long that time was. So that was one of the reasons why I facilitated that book. And the 23 people who've contributed, and my chapter is in that book about Craig as well. The 23 people, they have people who have lost people. They've either lost children, they've lost siblings, they've lost a husband, or they've lost a wife. There's people there that have gone through that journey and have lived that experience and come out the other side. And there's people there who help people to go through that, who are there for people to speak with. There's a grief person there who talks about grief. So the book covers as much as I could possibly do on all the different aspects. And it is one that I am so very, very, very happy that I did. And we get a lot of reviews on it. I have people who say, thank you so much, because I didn't know how to speak about it. And not only that, there's people who've read it and said, I didn't know how to speak to others who have lost because they didn't know what to say. And that was one of the things that people would not talk to me after we lost Craig, not because they didn't want to talk to me, they just didn't know, how do we talk about it? What do we say? How, if someone loses someone in a car accident or even in a crime, people know what to say. They can say something. But when you lose someone to suicide, and it's similar to when people who've lost young babies and children, they're still not quite sure. People have the same sort of thing. They don't know what to say. And it's the same with the suicide. It's something that's so much different and outside people's normal scope.
Yeah.
They want to talk to people, but they don't know what to say. So that is why, as you might gather, I'm extremely passionate about my book.
And you should be. I first of all want to say I'm so sorry, about your son, but also I really admire the way, that you've given a voice to your grief and to his legacy, which is amazing. And that's almost my question, Trish. Why on earth don't we know what to say? When something like that happens. And like you say, it's not something, but it's not like humans need to have like training, it's like, in those hard times almost, it's like we just need to know just to sit with a person in grief, like almost nothing you can say almost can make that moment better. What advice would you give us, anyone that is going through a very tough time? This is end of the year, memories pop up, lonely time for some. What advice would you give to all of us going through tough times?
Look, it's really just to listen. As you say, unless you've been through something similar, it's not easy to say. You can't really go up. And it's one thing I would say don't do is to go up and say, I know how you're feeling. I know what you're going through. Unless you've actually gone through that, you
Yes.
can't. It's a personal thing. I know that before we lost Craig, there were other people that I knew and Craig's friends that had committed suicide. And that's the ironic thing with our son Craig, is that we spoke openly about it. And he said to me, ironically, 2 weeks before he went, he said, suicide's a cop-out, Mum. I don't know why people do it. And then 2 weeks later, we lost our son. So for people who are faced with someone who's either, even if it's not suicide, if they've lost someone or they're going through a hard time or they're going through, they've lost a loved one, no matter what age, it's a matter of just saying to them, I'm there for you. If
Yeah.
you want to speak, I'm there for you. If you want me to come around and make you cups of tea, I'm there for you. And that's all we often really need to know, that you haven't walked away from us because you don't know what to
Yes.
say, but that you make the effort to say, look, if you want me to be there, I will be there. But if you don't, if you need time to be by yourself, I understand that.
Mm.
And when you're ready and you want to reach out, I'll be there. So it's a matter of being there for the people and then listening to when they're ready to talk and they want to have a conversation, to be there and listen. And as I said, unless you've been through it, don't say I understand what you're going through,
Yes.
because you don't
Yes.
unless you've gone through it. And it's but being saying that I'm here for you and I'm ready to listen and
Yes.
to just be there and not just leave them alone unless they ask for it.
Yeah. No,
That's the most
definitely.
important thing.
And
Just be there and be
also,
aware. Be a friend, be a family member, just be there.
yes. And I love the book that you wrote. You know, that's why I'm also extremely passionate. I actually published a book this year about trauma healing. As you know, there's a few things that people don't, there's not a lot of knowledge out there about or share experiences. So I love that you did also the co-author book for 23 people to share one voice to this, topic. And grief has so many faces, so I really love that. Will you be bringing out more books like that?
Well, I am writing Craig's story. It's taken a
Wonderful.
while. It's taken a long while. People keep saying, when are you going to bring it out? But it's taken a while
Yes.
because it's a personal story. And every time I sit down to write it, I cry. And,
Yeah, it's
that's
hard.
right. It's okay. I say to people, it's okay to cry. So I'm writing his story because I do want to make sure that his name goes on and people remember who he is. I actually had done one on breast cancer. I did that
Okay,
before Craig's
wow.
one. So that one's called Touched by Breast Cancer. And that's about, again, a group of people that I've invited to share, because breast cancer or any cancer has that ripple effect. It affects so many people, just like the suicide has a ripple
Yes.
effect. And again, that's based on my journey is in there, my chapter is in there of going through breast cancer. And there's people who've gone through in various ways, or people who've lost breast cancer who share their stories. And I was very lucky with that one, that my oncologist wrote a chapter for me on how he
Wow.
deals with it, because an oncologist deals with so many people and people that don't always survive. And it's a pretty hard thing for him. So his chapter is a great one to read in there.
Wow.
So I've done that one
That
in
is
that respect.
amazing. And Trish, for me, it's like your books are like, I'm just seeing this map, of your life, and with every pit stop, it's so therapeutic. I've also witnessed that after my divorce, I wrote a book for single parents, so it's lovely. It's hard topics, and you do cry a lot. I do think it's where the healing also in a way comes in, but it's very hard, so very brave for you to do that. If anyone is tuning in now and thinking, "Oh, this is too hard," they have something that's in them, but and they want to write, what advice would you give them?
Look, there's a couple of things I would suggest. One is to realize, as I said earlier, it's not really about you. It's about someone who needs to pick up your book
Yes,
and read something in that book. And if you let fear, if you let uncertainty, if you let that little voice that says you're not good enough and no one wants to read it, if you let that stop you, then you're depriving that one person, whether it's tomorrow, 5 years down the track, 10 years down the track, whether it's next door, whether it's a print book or an ebook that that person reads, you're depriving them of that one touch point that they might actually need at that particular time. The words or chapter or something you've said and written in that book that they absolutely need to read. And if you don't take what I call 60 seconds of insane courage and just remember it's not about you, that you just let them share your story, and they won't have that when they need it.
Yes.
And that would be so, so very sad. And then the other thing is to just write. Just write. Don't worry about grammar. Don't worry about chapters. If you're the sort of person that needs to plan everything out, by all means, work out and plan your chapters. But if you just want to share your story, don't worry about that. You can fix that later. Just start writing. I say, if you write 500 words a day, just 500 words a day, which is not very much, in 30 days, you'll have a 15,000 word book, which is around about average for a book nowadays, because not many people want to have huge, big books to read. So 500 words, 15,000 words. Now, if you find that the thought of doing it all yourself, by yourself, you're not quite ready, then if someone invites you to contribute a chapter in a book, these are a couple of things I suggest you do. First, find out all there is to find about the book, what the audience, who the audience is, what the parameters required, how many people are going to be in the book, whether it's going to cost you anything, whether it's free or whether there's a cost, what you will get for your investment. Will it be several books for you to sell? Will it just be one book? Will you have the opportunity to buy more copies at a discount price? All of those things you need to look at. You need to see whether the book and the concept is aligned with your message or where you want to be. If you've done all that and tick all that off, then a chapter is a great way to start on your author journey. You do the chapter, it might be 1,000 words, might be 2,000 words, depends on the book. It might even only be just a short 500-word thing that they want you to do. There are so many different ways of contributing to an anthology or a compilation. There are many different names for it. But that gets you on your author journey. And when that book is published, you may be one of 15, one of 20. I've just been part of one which has got 262 women in it.
Wow.
And it's an International Women's Day book that was launched in International Women's Day. And that is what I call a showcase of not knowing where your book is going to go and what you can do with it. So you can then legitimately call yourself an author. If you've contributed a chapter, you are an author. Some of those books go on to be #1 Amazon bestsellers. My suicide book was a #1 Amazon bestseller when it was released up on Amazon. You become an author. You become an international best-selling author. And that gives you the opportunity then to take a deep breath and maybe do your own book, or maybe co-author one with someone else, or maybe just go and do another chapter.
Yes.
My 262 one that I'm part of is called Mission Accepted. It's 262 women empowered right around the world. It's a big global one. And if I've got time, I will share just what happens when you do a book.
You're welcome.
Okay. I've been talking about leaving a legacy for your book and the opportunities that books come. This was an opportunity that came from someone out of Canada, from Vancouver. She facilitated it. It's been a couple of years. Well, it was not this year, but it was last year when we started. And you can imagine herding 262 women to give their chapter and the time and put it all together and whatever they've done. So it's a very big book. It's not what I would call a normal size book. It's almost like a coffee table book. It's about that thick.
Yes.
Now, that gave me, I was happy to be part of that. There was a bit of a cost on that one, but that was great because I thought it was a book that would align with me, a little bit different. Now, this is where the opportunities come, where if you don't put yourself out there, you don't know what can come from doing a book.
Yes.
This book, a few months ago, went to the Emmys. At the Emmys, it was gifted to all the celebrities. So all the celebrities at the Emmys got a copy of this book in their gift bag. Now, how awesome is that?
That's
I just
amazing.
contributed a chapter to a book, and now that book could be traveling. I have no idea. People can read that, open it up, they'll go to my chapter, they'll read it. These are people that I would not normally be able to reach in any one of my other books. But
Yes.
there's more. There's more. That I thought was marvelous enough. But about 2 months ago, I got a phone call and I was asked, Trish, would you like to go to the Oscars?
That's
Wow. I
amazing.
stopped and think. I was invited, I've been invited, and I'm going because now the Oscars people asked if that book could be gifted to all of the celebrities at the Oscars. So I'm going to the Oscars. I'm
That's
going to be there
amazing.
in the gifting lounge. I'm going to be gifting the book that I'm a contributing author to everybody that comes through that gifting lounge. I'm going to meet people that I would normally not meet.
Yes.
I'm going to be able to talk about my other books. I'm going to be able to talk about this book. I get to sign my chapter in the book. Now, all of that is an opportunity, which is I call a once in a lifetime opportunity.
Yes. Yes.
Some person from a little, small place in Queensland, Australia, to be invited to go to the Oscars to meet celebrities and
Yes.
share a book that she's in. If I had not said yes 18 months ago, none of this was envisaged. I just said yes to be part of a really great book for International Women's Day. That book has now taken me as part of the Emmys, and even more now, it's taken me personally to the Oscars in February.
That's
Do you think I'm going
incredible.
to leverage that? I'm going to leverage that because there's not many people that can say that they've been to the Oscars to share a book that they've written and been part of.
Yes.
That is why I say to people, be open to opportunities. Write, be part of books, your own book, co-author or a contributing author, because you never know where that opportunity, that book is going to turn up and the opportunities that might be opening doors for you because you've got a book.
Now that is amazing. Well done, Trish, on all your accomplishments. It's amazing and enjoy every minute of the
Oh,
Oscars.
I will. I will.
That's amazing. If anyone wants to reach out to you, how can they reach you?
Okay. My website's there, but they can reach me on in my email, which is very simple. It's trish@trishspringsteen.com.
Amazing. And also your books, where can they purchase it?
On my website, there is a tab which says books, and they can see all the books that I have been contributing to. As I said, it's up to 21 now. And they can purchase those books through there. They can go to Amazon and look for Trish Springsteen author, and you'll see my author page and the books that are digital ones up on Amazon, they can purchase through there. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. So just put Trish Springsteen on LinkedIn, Trish Springsteen, Facebook, any social media. And if you do a Google search, I think I've got about 30 pages or so of connections of me and all the different things that I've been involved in. So it's
Amazing.
not hard to find me.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for joining me today and for sharing your brave story. So much admiration for your journey and for saying yes to pick up your pen and change your life and others' lives through that. Thank you, Trish.
You're very welcome. Thank you so much for the opportunity to share some of my stories and my experiences.
That's amazing. For everyone who tuned in, may you be inspired by Trisha's journey and also cheer for her. She's gonna walk at the Oscars through her book and also her stories of hope. You know, it shows you what resilience does and the power of the pen to not give up, you know, even though things are going extremely tough, to voice your emotions. And, you know, you've got a right to share those stories. And also, like Trish said, it's always about the person waiting for you to show up in your full brilliance through your storytelling. Thank you so much for joining us today. Keep on writing and keep on shining.
Just watch me shine.